I'm going to copycat another recipe, a cafe style crispy choux pastry. For this recipe, first we have to do a dough, roll it and leave it in the fridge. Let's do that first. For that, 50 grams plain flour, 50 grams butter and 50 grams sugar. So let's start doing this first. The butter has to be in room temperature, so add the butter into the mixing bowl and into that add the sugar and mix it well with the sugar. After, add the flour into that and mix well. After, put your fingers in and make a smooth dough. Knead it well with the fingers. After, put the pastry on a baking sheet and fold the baking sheet and roll this to a thin layer and put it in the fridge about 30 minutes to 1 hour. So let's do the choux pastry now. For that, I have 250 milliliters water and 200 grams flour and 100 grams butter, 4 eggs. And let's do that first. For that, put a pan on the stove and add the water into that. Then add the butter and let the butter melt in that water. When the butter is already melted, switch off the stove and then add the flour bit by bit and mix it well. After, switch the stove back on a very low flame and keep on mixing until it comes off the pot nice and well. When it start coming off the pot like this, take it out. So let's do the next step in the mixer. So for that, add the prepared dough or the cooked dough and make sure you need to mix this or leave it to cool down about like 60 Celsius. But if you put it into a mixer and start mixing it, it automatically cools down. So I kept on mixing this about 1 minute and it cools down. So I'm going to add eggs one by one and mix this well. When you are doing this, make sure to scrape down the edges all the time. If you are using very small eggs, make sure that you add another egg. Normally the egg size should be 70 grams one. So I'm going to mix it on fast now. Now it's ready, so I'm going to take it out. The consistency has to be like this. So prepare a baking tray with the baking paper and a piping bag with any kind of a large nozzle. So after, fill the pastry bag and then pipe to a shape like this, a round shape. It depends on the size of the choux pastry that you like to have. After piping, it looks like this. So now you have the thin layer that you made before. Take it out and cut circles out from that and get the circle and put it on the pastry. Press it a bit down and bake this on 200 about 10 minutes, and after that reduce the temperature to 160 and bake another 10 minutes. So now let's do the next step. So there are 3 steps. This is the filling. For that I'm using 750 milliliters full cream milk and the leftover dough from the topping and another 100 grams sugar. You can always reduce or increase the amount of sugar, and 50 grams butter with 1 egg and vanilla. Leave 100 milliliters of milk aside and the 650 the leftover, make it hot. So let's do it. So into another separate bowl add the sugar, butter and vanilla and mix this and put this in the microwave about 1 minute. After, cut the leftover dough piece and mix it well. After, break the egg into this too and mix well. If you like, you can add 2 eggs in this with the leftover dough. When the milk is just hot enough, add bit by bit into the egg and the milk mix. Slowly pour it in. You have to keep on whisking while adding the milk. After, put the mix back into the pot and stir well until it thickens. So I finished cooking the mix. It has to be like this consistency. I found that it's a bit runny, so I added another tablespoon of flour into this while cooking. And you have to keep on whisking about 10 minutes until it comes to this consistency, and leave it to cool down completely. So the pastries are ready, and I'm going to leave it to completely cool down. I just took this from the oven and going to leave it to cool down completely before I fill that in. Now the pastries are already cooled down, and I put the mix into another piping bag and then take it out and slowly, after, take the prepared pastry cream that you made and put it into a piping bag with a small nozzle. Push it into the pastry and slowly release the made pastry cream into it and finish it off. So these are the cafe style crispy choux pastries. So if you want to get the recipe, visit culinarycorner.net. All the tips and the recipe will be there. Thank you.